First of all, I am sure the family and friends of Carolyn and Tammy want them to know that wedding guests have come a long way since Jesus' time, right? Sorry, no. It was Jesus' first miracle, turning water into wine. And I love this story for a bazillion reasons. One of them is what a good son he was. He didn't think it was the right time, but his mom asked him, so he listened. The other thing is weddings clearly are so important to God. Christ came to live, breathe, walk among us, and share with us what is most important. So at a time when wedding guests were gathered, and back in those days, oh my goodness, you know, you didn't just have a little reception afterwards. Family and friends came a long way, they stayed for days, and there was a lot of drinking. I'm sure that doesn't happen at weddings. Well, maybe. Anyhow, for Jews, wine was a very precious sign of joy and abundance. And so, if you read the Old Testament, you are always hearing the prophets referring to God's people as a vineyard, carefully planted, tended by God. And so grapes, wine, it was a sign of God's love for us, our love for God, overflowing joy. And so, of course, it was integral to a wedding celebration. When that wine ran out, well, it'd be sad, but it'd be more than that. For the family, it would be deeply embarrassing because you were supposed to be able to provide for your guests. Hospitality was so important in that culture as it should continue to be in our culture. And so that's why Mary was so disturbed as she thought, they're going to be embarrassed. We can't mess up this precious day. And she asked Jesus, and he was thinking, I don't know if this is a good time. And she didn't argue, did she? She just said, she left it in his hands, told the servants to do whatever he told them. And so he did what Jesus always does, what God continues to do today. He took what they had, not what they didn't have. Remember when those 5,000 folks were hungry? Jesus took what they had, tiny bit of bread, couple of fish, and made that more than enough. Same thing with his first miracle. Jesus didn't say, whoa, we need a lot more stuff than we have, let's collect this up. He said, what do you have? You could see they had water, these stone jars that could hold 20 to 30 gallons of water. And that water was used for ritual purification. And Jesus turned what was an honored ritual into a source of overflowing joy. Jesus took what they had, water, and working with what they had, he provided more than enough. If they helped, if 6 of those vessels, I did the math, if 6 of those vessels held 20 to 30 gallons, this was hard for me, I almost needed papers, but that would be 120 to 180 gallons of wine. That should have held them over, right?
For a little while.
And that's my experience as a person who's married to my husband for 39 years, be 40 this summer. And that's what God's own miracle. How anybody can stay married to me is shocking. But it's true that there were times when my husband was so unreasonable, so wrong, so it's terrible. Is he here? Is he here? Did he come in? Oh, there he is in the back. Still showing up that Well, maybe once or twice. Anyhow, what would happen at those times where I thought, this is not going to work? At those times, because of faith, because of Jesus in my heart, I could turn to Jesus and say, God, this man is impossible. You do something. And sure enough, turning everything over to God, either my heart would be nudged, or Ron's heart would be nudged, or even better, both of them at the same time, and things would work out. We would be able to hold on to what was most important, what we cherished, what was right and precious and true and life-giving. Hold on to that. And what was kind of annoying, we could let go of. That could just go away, and we're redrawn to those vows that we made, to the importance of that. Early on, it is true that that's harder to do. Tammy and Carolyn have weathered 20 years, having done almost twice as many. And I know there are people here. Well, Marcia and Bill celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. So remember that lady, you're done with the hardest part, Marcia and Bill. It's clear sailing from here. But we worship a God who moves into not just marriages. That's kind of a symbol of all relationships. Every place where our life comes up against another life. Well, it's kind of like nerve endings. You know, it's a tender place where one life comes up against another life. But those folks who really remember their biology will remember. Nerve cells don't actually touch each other. There's a gap, right? It's like that, where our lives come near other lives. There's this gap. And the nerves in our body can send impulses because bridging that gap are neurotransmitters. There's this little chemical leap that happens that gets a nerve impulse from one cell to the other. And it's like that in our lives with the Holy Spirit. When our lives come up against other lives, you know, we're not the same people, even if we love each other dearly. We're just not the same person. And so, as our lives come near another person's life, there's always going to be a gap. And we would be sunk if we weren't able to turn and return to the Holy Spirit, to our loving God, whose love is able to leap and connect any gap. In Jesus' name.